today I have part 2 of my review from the Colourpop bronzers. I initially did a video a few weeks back where I just showed you sort of the texture and the colors of the Colourpop bronzers that I got, but I wanted to come back and sort of tell you my thoughts on them, if I like them, if I didn't like them, and especially what kind of brushes I used with them. Although I love the Colourpop textures, I think that it is the most amazing texture on the market right now. I find that using a brush with them can sometimes be difficult, so I definitely wanted to try out a few different brushes and give you my thoughts on them. I did pick up all 6 of the bronzers that Colourpop released, and I will link the video in the description box below where I compare the swatches and sort of the different textures about them. I've had a few weeks to play with the Colourpop bronzers, and overall I love them. I love the normal Colourpop blushes as well as the eyeshadows, and I thought that I would most likely like the bronzers, which was exactly what it was. I love the bronzers. I felt like the texture was exactly the same to all the highlighters, the blushes, as well as the eyeshadows, so you don't have to worry about going in blindly and the texture changing. I did really like the color variety. I felt like there was a lot of different selection. You can go for something that was a lot lighter for someone like my skin tone who is more fair, or you could go for something a little bit more darker, which I still think that the fair skin tones could pull off, but I just enjoyed the color selection. I also enjoyed the 2 different textures. I felt like the matte texture is exactly what I was looking for in a bronzer because I do generally like matte bronzers better, but I felt like the way they added those 2 satin bronzers in them as well was amazing. I've used both of them and I've used both of them together. The satin one is never too shimmery. I almost like it a little bit better than the matte bronzer when I'm looking for that glowy skin. It gives a little bit of luminosity to your skin, but the matte bronzers are perfect if you're looking for more of a matte texture or if you want to add glow through highlight. I feel like the lasting power on these bronzers is very similar to any of their blushes or eyeshadows, so you don't have to worry about them fading too much throughout the day. I mean, I do have dry skin and normally my makeup does not migrate very much, so I never really have that issue, but I felt like it looked the same in the morning versus in the afternoon. The one thing that I was a little concerned with these bronzers was using a brush with them, because generally with the Colourpop items, I do like to use my fingers. I feel like it applies the product best and you get the most color saturation with your fingers, and usually when I apply them with my fingers, I do blend it a little bit with a brush. So I will apply, for example, the blush right on the blush area, and then I will take like a stippling brush or more of a dense blush and just really blend it in to make sure that there's no either fingerprints with the product on my face, or just so it blends really seamlessly with the rest of my makeup. But with a bronzer, you kind of want to bronze your entire face, so applying them with your fingers can be really time consuming and can just be generally really annoying. So I wanted to find a brush that would work really well with them. Generally with the blushes, I really like to use the e.l.f. small stippling brush. I find like even if I dip this directly into the product, it still picks up enough of the product to give a blush look. With the bronzers, I felt like it didn't pick up as much as I wanted it to. It was still really nice, but I don't think it was what I was looking for. I would still recommend it, especially if you're looking for a really light dusting of bronzer, but for me, I like a lot of bronzer, so generally I didn't like this one as much. My favorite brush to use for these bronzers was the MAC 131, which is very similar to the Real Techniques Duo Fiber Contour Brush. It's a little bit bigger overall, and as well as the Duo Fiber Face Brush. So any of these brushes that sort of have the duo fiberness to it but is a little bit rounded was my favorite way to apply them. I prefer the MAC brush over the Real Technique ones just for this product, just because I felt like it picked up the product a little bit better, and I'm not sure why that is, but I just felt like it was a little bit better for these bronzers. But if you have these 2, I don't think that you definitely need to go out and purchase this one. It's more just personal preference. My favorite way to apply the product to the brush was actually just to take the brush and do more of like a swiping motion rather than dabbing. I felt like when you did a swiping motion, it picked up enough of the product. When you did a dabbing motion into the product, it didn't pick up as much as I wanted it to. So if you're looking for more of a lighter application, you could definitely dab it, but for me, I wanted a little bit more of a stronger bronzer look, so I did the swiping. That is personal preference. For some of the lighter colors, I like more of a sweeping motion, but for the really dark shade, I like to dip it in just because then you're controlling the product a little bit better. And this product blended really nicely all over my face. You got the nice smooth blending and you didn't have any lines or streaks, especially because it's duo fiber, so this is the one brush I would really recommend for the Colourpop bronzers. I felt like the duo fiber brushes were the best way to pick up product. I feel like a dense brush didn't pick up as much product as I wanted, but a dense brush did work well in them. I didn't really test that one out as much because as soon as I found this brush to test out the bronzers and I loved the way way it applied. I just continued to use it. I hope you all enjoyed this follow-up review to the Colourpop bronzers. If you have any recommendations on other brushes that would work really well with this product, definitely let me know in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe so you can see all my upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned.